My name is Sandeep John. I head field marketing initiatives in the India and ASEAN region. We'll have to quickly see who our presenters for today's day is. Is going to be Arif Anwar joining us from Practo. Arif is the head of patient and doctor experience. I also have Arijit Chatterjee, who's the chief business officer at C-Centrix. Now, a quick introduction to both of them as well. So Arif brings over 14 years of experience in the deployment of services for hardware and software and driving superior customer experiences for organizations like Wipro and Dell. At Practo, he has led multiple processes to ensure quick and accurate query resolution and has brought a deep understanding of customer insights on board to help improve the product. So we've got the right man here for the webinar. We also have Arijit joining us from C-Centrix, has over 20 years of experience in the technology space. And over the years, he's been involved in some diverse projects from marketing, business scalability, new product development, and innovation. And in the past has worked with some of the largest MNC and runs his own startup. Now, before joining C-Centrix as the Chief Business Officer, he headed Business Development APAC at Schneider Electric. Now, what are we going to cover in today's webinar, right? We're going to talk about, first of all, set some context on today's customer-powered marketplace and why delivering frictionless support is non-negotiable in today's world. We will also chat with Arif to understand how Practo has sort of succeeded in elevating both customer and agent experiences. And then we'll move on to Arijit, who will weigh in on C-Centric's take on enhancing the support organizations with the right kind of tools. This is in the age of the customer and the survival of business, depending on the ability to deliver what customers want, how and when they want it. Now, quickly onto the main points of what this is about. Customer experience now is no longer an option. It is a top priority. See, today we are in the age of the experience economy, where everyone's talking about greater experiences and greater whatnot. So as high as 80% of global customers say that the experience a company provides is as important as products and services. So today, if you realize customer experience itself is becoming a competitive differentiator that we have in the market. And the power of decision making has shifted in favor of customers, making them even more vocal about what they want and the consequences of not giving it out to them. Since customers are very device and channel agnostic, brands have been forced to rethink their support organizations. Now, let's think about this differently. 52%, and I'm sure all of us are probably part of this group as well, 52% of customers who have had bad experiences have just stopped buying from companies. You and I have probably used several services and products online. All it takes is one bad experience for us to stop. We also haven't thought about the cascading effect something like social media is bringing today. If you had a bad experience, you probably go out on a Facebook or a LinkedIn or a Twitter and post something about it. People look at it, like, share. That can have a cascading effect as well. So it becomes all the more important to deliver the right kind of customer experience consistently across your organization. So therefore, the customer demands of rapid resolution, cross-platform and cross-channel connectivity, and frictionless experience in every channel becomes absolutely vital. Now, delivering customer experiences connected customer experience that check all the boxes holds the key to truly memorable customer experience. End of the day, it's all about delivering that customer experience to every single customer that you come across. Now, within that, delivering cohesive, consistent messages across all customer touchpoints can be tricky. Mind you, today we are in the age of the omni-channel experience where customers will come in from any channel, whether it's chat, whether it's phone, whether it's through email. And we want to be able to saying the same message across all and delivering that same wow experience to every single one of those instances. So not only is there a proliferation of channels, organizations also need to tackle the complexity of disjointed internal workflows and management architecture. So while having dedicated teams for each customer channel works from an efficiency and specialization point of view, the intelligent transfer of context across all of them is essential to keep your customers engaged and appreciative without having to repeat their problem statements over and over again. Organizations can no longer continue with this siloed kind of approach. Teams can no longer consider themselves with only parts of a customer journey, but need to start seeing the bigger picture of delivering frictionless connected customer experiences. Now, this drawing, I think if you spend a few minutes kind of looking at how this actually works, this is how the new customer experience paradigm will actually look like, right? It's delivering on par with customer expectations while staying on track with internal efficiency goals, calls for a powerful technology solution. So we're not just talking about the external customer experience, we're also talking about the agent experience and how that works and how it makes the agent's life so much better. So the right solution can successfully empower internal teams with the history and context to ensure meaningful conversations and superior experiences. Now, I think this is the right point for me to sort of bring in Arif into the conversation. So Arif, why don't you sort of start us out and tell us, give an understanding, I mean, for several of us who probably already know what Practo does, a lot of us, including me, have actually used some of Practo's services, but get an understanding from a larger perspective of what Practo does as an organization.
Sure. So good evening, everybody. Right. So first, I will say a bit about what Practo does. Right. So Practo is a health platform that helps patients find the right doctor, do online consultation, order medicines, and request for diagnostic tests. For doctors, we provide software through which they can manage their clinic. Also provide them with analytical dashboard, which help them optimize their business, and queue management software in hospitals, right? So these are the few products that we have on the patient side and on the doctor side.
Now, so I think an important point you mentioned, for Practo, there are two kinds of customer constituencies, right? You have the doctors and then you have the patients. Now, how are these different in nature? And what kinds of demands or services or service expectations do each of these customer groups have?
Yeah, as you correctly said, right? These are different type of customers, right? And the demands vary, right? So on the patient side, the expectation is for appointments in short notice, where there's no wait time, right? I need the appointment now, and I don't want to wait when I'm at the clinic. So on the other hand, the priority is for issue resolution to be faster with good quality, right? Again, in a very short period of time. So everybody wants quality resolution in short period of time.
Absolutely. Now, obviously you mentioned quality resolution in good period of time. Tackling different expectations, maybe there are challenges, right? Right with doctors and right with patients as well. How are you managing these different expectations?
So from the perspective of a service provider, to be honest, right? So if you take example of patients, right, to drive the in-clinic experience, it was very difficult. So we took initiatives like Practo Prime, where we are able to achieve this, right, in terms of delivering quality output for doctors. In helping us track, measure, and evaluate our current performance levels so that we can improve and deliver in accordance to our customer needs.
All right, so let us now move into the kind of channels that you basically operate in. Now, can you possibly talk us through some of the most commonly used channels your customers reach out to you, and what kind of internal processes and tools you have in place to sort of manage these the customers' requirements that come from different channels?
Sure. So primarily we have three channels available with us, right? It's calls, emails, and chat. Our customers reach us either by dropping us an email or chatting through our app or raising a ticket through the app, right? Or picking up a phone and dialing our support number. So these are the primary three channels how they reach out to us.
So so you mentioned chat is the predominant option that people use to reach out to you?
No, so predominant channel is emails, right? So, but again, we've given them the convenience to raise this email ticket through the app itself. So they don't have to literally go to their email box to raise a ticket with us.
Yep.
Practo app itself enables them to raise support tickets.
So maybe why don't you take us, you said emails are one of the options that people can raise tickets. Why don't you take us through that process and maybe even try and cover what are the other channels that, while predominantly it being emails, what are the other channels you possibly use or your customers actually use to reach out to you, and how does that work?
So see the other channels are like, is Practo portals, right? So what we have is that we have our own app for the patient side and on the doctor side, right? And once the customer faces any issue, right, they go to the app itself and request a support help, and that automatically goes ahead and generates a support ticket. And what happens once the support ticket gets generated, the ticket gets distributed amongst the team members in a round-robin fashion.
And maybe what happens on calls and chat, for example, because I've used chat. I have a personal experience as well of having used Practo chat. Why don't you take us through what happens on chat and preferably on calls as well?
Sure. So we have a detailed integration when it comes with Freshdesk that really helps our people. So when a call lands into our system, we use the C-centric soft phone to answer that call, right, which displays the customer's phone number. And through that number, we fetch the customer's information and then we go ahead and answer, take the call further. In maintaining the entire track record of the agents who are logging in, when they're taking a break, what's the duration of an average call. So all the reporting data as far as calls comes from Czentrix. On the chat side, we have integration again. So whenever the entire chat transcript gets copied and pasted onto Freshdesk, and that again gets resulted into a fresh ticket.
If you can tell us, so obviously there are multiple teams working on these multiple tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, how do you ensure that, I think one of the points that I mentioned earlier as well, how do you try and ensure consistency across all these channels? What do you try and do internally to ensure that all these channels are consistent?
We have multiple channels, but at the same time, Freshdesk is our primary, customer relationship management tool, right? So through tracking, reporting, analyzing, and improving business processes, right? We are able to, have a uniform experience for the customer because we are using only one tool across all channels.
So that becomes important. I think very valid point to mention here is that the usage of one tool is you try to unify all these experiences as opposed to using multiple tools in silos, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you help us, and now probably is a good enough time to bring in the case of Czentrix. So maybe you can give us some context as well. Mm-hmm. So can you help us understand how you partnered with Czentrix and Freshworks to sort of deliver these? You did mention a bit of Czentrix and Freshworks.
Won't partner with us.
These experiences, what did you try and do?
So, even before Freshdesk, right, we had our own internal tooling systems, and Czentrix has been with us, since the initiations that Practo, had. So basically, what happened is that since we kept on moving with tools, but Czentrix remained with us, right, and continuously provided us the telephony system, right, to help us manage our calls better.
Excellent. Hey, thanks a lot, Arif, for sort of taking us through the whole Practo journey and the ability to sort of deliver consistent experiences across all channels that you have, and how you're using Czentrix to deliver those experiences. Thanks a lot for that.
Most welcome. Yeah.
All right. At this point, I'd like to bring in Arijit. Hi, Arijit.
Hi, Sandeep. Good afternoon to all of you. I know there has been some noises, background noise, but things have been resolved by now.
Yeah, I think most of it's got resolved by now. I think there are a few voices overlapping as well, but thanks a lot for all those who've joined us, all the attendees as well, for patiently going through some of the technical glitches that we have. But hopefully we'll get it better as we keep going along. But thanks a lot for staying on. Why don't we start with you, Arijit? Arijit, I think for a lot of the folks who are joining in right now, maybe you can start off by taking us through a little bit about what Czentrix actually does as an organization.
This webinar is focusing on customer experience, and Czentrix stands today as a customer experience and customer service platform provider. So we partner with companies like Practo to deliver their customer a superior experience, and we are partnering with Freshdesk and other CRM players to ensure that we collaborate together with our customer to give the right experience. So we as a company have been working with, but the end objective of Czentrix is to help their customer go through and provide us an experience which they are trying to do, provide through various channels.
Thanks a lot for that, Arijit. Now, can you walk us through the use case about how Practo actually came to you and how you solved for it? You did mention it in that quick introduction that you made as well, but maybe sort of dwell into a bit of detail in terms of what was the use case, what is the problem that Practo was trying to solve, and where did Czentrix play that role to solve that problem for them?
Okay, so the story of Practo, as Arif was mentioning, is quite old. And with Practo, we provided our Czentrix Enterprise Suite solution. It's basically a platform through which you can do both the inbound and outbound calls. Practo uses the telephony solution to reach out both to the doctors and their clients. Inbound processes are mostly support queries from doctors and customers. Apart from Practo uses the consultation calls and medicine delivery support calls. Practo uses our telephony solution for outbound calls as well, for appointment confirmation, customer feedback, etc. So this was typically the use case that was in front of us, and then we worked with Practo to ensure the workflow, the campaigns, everything is set up for their
how to do
processes.
from the phone? हर बार
All right. So a quick one for you is how do you enable brands, right? Like Practo and other brands as such. How do you enable them to deliver seamless, frictionless experiences across all channels? So what role does C-Centrics play in the larger picture?
See, the most important when we are talking about customer experience, and basically when we are in the service side of it, so the organizations use multiple different tools, and the support team has to be very much comfortable. So for example, with Practo, we have provided a CZ bar, which is a bar that is integrating the telephony over the Freshdesk solution. So when the customer, when the support team is working, they are on a single screen. Statistics, it has been found out that when you switch screens, there is around 12 seconds of loss between call handling time. And also when the customer is calling, and if you are moving between two screens, you are not able to tell the customer who is the customer who is calling, what has been the previous ticket. So with a single platform or single window solution, you are able to provide this kind of a good experience to the customer as well as enable the agents.
Great. Now let's close with I think one of the basic questions, but probably a very important question in the context of what we're discussing here is that what do brands need to be aware of while choosing what channels they are present across, right? Because today we're talking about omni-channel experiences. Some brands are probably right now in a couple of channels, but might want to expand that channel across where they're going. So do you have any advice to the people out there, especially trying to expand their channel, the number of channels that you're on? How do they decide what channels they should be going at? Is there any mechanism to do it? So maybe you can sort of throw some light on that.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting point, Sandeep, because with the penetration of different channels, businesses are not very sure which is the right touch point and where do they place their aim. I will break it into a couple of three different parts. Let's look at first as a demography. So when we talk about millennials, the young generation, they prefer more of a chat bot or a chat or even a self-service kind of a channel compared to a middle-aged or senior people who would still prefer or rely the good old telephony, and if not telephony, depend on the email. What kind of demography are you supporting? Okay. Second is the priority or emergency. So when the things becomes very urgent, then customers prefer a more synchronous channel like a phone or a chat where there's a one-on-one interaction and there's no. Whereas if it is an information-based thing, they can prefer other channels to use. Third is kind of incidents. Okay, is it a concern? Is it a grievance, or what kind of incidents it is? What we have seen is that concerns which are related to me directly, and is a very important concern that needs to be resolved. Customers prefer again a phone or a chat, but when it becomes a grievance to concerns to a wider population, then they prefer social channels. Nevertheless, people also use social channels for appreciations too. So my suggestion to the selection of different channels for the brand, really on what kind of group are you catering to, what kind of priorities that they will be addressing, what kind of incidents. So to combine all these things, today there is emergence of an omni-channel platform where all these various channels gets converged together on a single platform as well.
Thanks for that, Arijit. Now, before we move on to sort of the questions, a bit of the Q&A and whatnot, I've got a couple of things that we want to do right now. We're going to do a quick poll, right? So you might see this poll launching up on your screen right now. It's more in context to customer experience about all that we've been discussing so far. So quickly, if you can see that poll, you have the option of voting right on your screen. What is at the top of your customer experience priorities? There are three options here. You have delivering quick first responses, ensuring speedy resolutions, and delivering seamless omni-channel experiences. So feel free to sort of interact on that poll and let us know what you feel as far as your top CX priorities are. We'll hold that on for a few more seconds. So the question again, what is at the top of your CX priorities? You should see the poll appear on your screen. Is it about delivering quick first response times, ensuring speedy resolutions, or delivering seamless omni-channel experiences? Okay, I think we'll end the poll right now, but there's a predominance. A lot of people are saying ensuring speedy resolution. So I think that's a very consumerist approach as well, in terms of everyone wanting to make sure that problems are solved almost instantaneously. Thanks a lot, both, before we move on to the next segment. In fact, thanks a lot, both Arijit and Arif, for sharing your insights. But stay on, don't log off as yet, because we're going to have a short Q&A session as well lined up for you right before we close. The quick one. So for those who don't know a little bit about Freshworks, Freshworks is a leading cloud-based customer experience engagement platform offering a suite of products that is transforming the way world-class organizations collaborate. Now, our products are used by over 170,000, in fact, even more as we speak right now, organizations, including some of the global names like Honda, Rightmove, Hugo Boss, Citizens Advice. The company was founded in October 2010, and Freshworks is backed by Axel, Tiger Global, Capital G, and Sequoia Capital. We have offices across the globe, and we keep opening new offices, so look out for our press releases that keep coming out. But our headquarters is based in Chennai, India, but we have an office in San Francisco, the UK, Australia, and Germany as well. So here's a quick lineup of some of the customers that we have in India, for all those who are pretty curious. Okay, we have a small second poll, but what we try and do, the second poll, is we'll send you a quick email as well, post this webinar, to all of you who have attended the webinar. Do feel free to participate in that short poll, because we're running out a bit of time. So I think we'll sort of go into the Q&A section. I'm just putting a snapshot of some of the webinars that we have lined up for you. But before that, anyone has any questions, feel free to sort of pop into the chat box, and we'll take a question as well. All right, we've got one question here that's already come up. Is how do you select an engagement tool like Freshdesk or Season? I think this question is more for Arif. So Arif, so how do you select tools like a Freshdesk, Centrix, and what would be an evaluation criteria for a tool like that?
So first of all, you would need to know what is your requirement, right? And based on the requirements, right? So what kind of internal tooling that is available with you? You would want to check for integrations, right? How seamless and easy it's going to be for you to integrate. And once the integration is done, right? That's the first leg of it. Secondly is that what kind of reports that you're going to get, right? So if you're going to drive customer experience as your primary metric, right, is as the second metric, then you need to ensure that you will have adequate amount of reporting coming out of the tools that you have chosen to fulfill that requirements, as that you can track your performance and eventually drive efficiency.
We've got another question that's coming in right now. This one, I think this one's for Arijit. So, so is specialized knowledge required to work my way around using some of your tools? Do I need to learn something specifically if I have to use one of the tools of Centrix, or is it something that literally can be plug and play and my learning will be fast?
So when we are using a CZ bar over a Freshdesk, so absolutely there is nothing to be learned by the agent. It is completely click and call kind of a facility where the agent can call. For the admin set of things that has to be understood. So we provide a training, for example, how to create campaign, how to log in your agents, how to pull out the various reports. So we have a short training for the admin, but for the agent it is simple to use.
So we're getting some more questions as well. This one is from Abin. So Abin's asking, what is the future of customer support tools in this age of AI and blockchain? And how is Freshdesk preparing for it? So maybe I'll take that question as well. So Abin, so I think when we talk about things like AI, when we talk about things like blockchain, I think as a company like Freshdesk, what we try and do, we try to make sure that our existing products have AI-enabled features within them, sort of uses the concept of AI. Now, there's this whole, I mean, maybe it requires a separate discussion altogether about how people use AI and what people think about as far as AI is concerned. Now, AI is typically driven by data. It's typically driven as an organization. Let's say if you want to try and implement something like an artificial intelligence within, as long as you have sizable chunks and amounts of data to help enable that process, then something like AI becomes applicable to your organization. But Freshdesk as a product, what we're trying to do is to make sure that anything that we come out they always have AI in place. So any new technology, maybe I'll summarize in the whole sense, is that there's any new technology that's coming out into the market, if it's in relation to, if it can actually deliver greater experiences to the customer, and as a product that builds for these customers, we will try to make sure that our products have some of these features enabled in as well. So do wait a little bit as well. In the next few months, you might be hearing something interesting coming up from our way as well in relation to something for AI. All right. I think a quick, we'll just take a couple of questions now as we're sort of running out of time. So anybody else, if you have any questions, feel free to post it out onto our chat window. We'll probably respond to you a little bit later on. One question I definitely have to ask, and this is both to both Arif and Arijit as well. So as a business, a lot of businesses today, at least who are joining in today on the call, and several businesses as well who are starting up small scale businesses, how much do they actually need to invest in an omni-channel experience? I know, Arijit, you spoke a little bit about this in terms of finding the right kind of tools, finding the right kind of channels in place. But as a startup firm, as a young firm with a very small customer base, do I actually need to invest? Do I actually need to make sure that I'm available on all these kinds of channels? Maybe I'll start with Practo here, because Practo here, the larger firm, possibly on most channels, already delivering seamless omni-channel experiences. And somebody like you, Arif, who's worked with some of the big companies in the world, what is your take on this? How much do you think a small firm actually needs to invest in the omni-channel experience?
Well, Sandeep, as we all understand that customer experience is the prime, of the prime importance for everybody nowadays, right? So, you would want to make it very easy for your customers to report a problem, right? So one of your slides called out that if your support experience is not great, maybe go ahead and place an order again. Now, and Arijit went ahead and spoke about millennials who would want to use the modern options of communicating with support in the form of chat. What happens is that if we are not making it easy for them to come to us and report a problem, they're not going to come back to you, right? You're losing them. So it is of prime importance that you make it as easy for your end user to come to you and tell you there is a problem, right? So that is to enable them and make almost all the channels of available for your end customers to tell you, I have a problem, please hear me out.
Yeah. I think the one, it's basically what you're basically giving a resounding yes to that. So irrespective of the size of organization, you definitely have to be omni-channel, omnipresent at least in wherever you are. And especially if you're a smaller organization, because today you have a smaller customer base, and that customer base is going to grow as you grow in the business as well. So you want to make sure that you don't have churn happening in that phase, right? Arif, am I right saying this? So irrespective of how big you are as a firm.
Just to add on to it, so see, what happens is that if you're a very small firm, for your end customer, they don't know it's a small firm or a big firm. They are your customer, right? And available where it is convenient for them to come to you and let you know there's a problem, they will go ahead and write a line on social, which is going to hurt your repute and your brand more than anything else, right? So you have to take that bargain. You want to go ahead and hurt your brand, or you want to go ahead and provide a better experience to you?
Absolutely. I think we're getting a lot of questions. Thanks a lot. I mean, big thanks to all the audience who are participating. So feel free to keep dropping those questions. We will answer them. If not on the webinar, we will reach out to you separately over email and send out our responses as well to them. I'm going to take this last question, and I think this is very relevant to the future of the way customer experience is going to be delivered as well. I don't think we even covered this as far as this is concerned, as far as this webinar is concerned. Do you think, and I think I'll put this question to both Arif and Arijit as well, do you think self-help or automated options are equally important? Maybe I'll add a little bit more to that as well. When I'm guessing here automated, I mean even things like, for example, chat bots. When you have bots on your application, can you automate part of that experience before bringing an agent into the scenario? Do you think self-help, for example, I'm guessing, do you have knowledge articles available on your website so that customers can have those seamless experiences? So maybe we'll start off with Arijit, and then we'll close with Arif. Arijit, going to give us your take.
So, see, self-help has been there from the emergence of telephony. So if you see IVR, the first self-help I would see was the information available on the IVR. Now the self-help is expanding more and more, where it is not only from a portal where you can get FAQs.
Hi, Arijit. I think we lost you. Yeah,
sorry, there was some disturbance again. So self-help has been from the IVR days, but today the self-help has expanded far more. FAQs on websites to chatbot, and as I mentioned, the new generation which is emerging are more onto these digital channels, which may be a non-voice channel, and automation will be of prime importance as we are seeing, globally it is happening.
Great. Arif, why don't you take us through what do you think as far as self-help, automation, how does that play a role in delivering these seamless experiences? Because today, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the age of bots, we're in the age of chat applications every year. You use chat yourself. How do you see something like self-help and automation? Is it going to make life easier for the customer? Is it going to make life easier for the agent? What's your take on this?
It definitely will make life easier for both the customer and for the company as well, right? In our terms, the agent who answers the call. So every field, right, where transactions are involved, right, there would be a lot of queries which are pretty much redundant. The answer always remains the same. So all those repetitive tasks can always be automated through bots, right, which will free up your bandwidth from your people to go ahead and focus on requires any redundant work, right, which requires some kind of troubleshooting, which requires some kind of decision making. But if there's a redundant task, and most of the queries would fall under that category, if so be the case, I would really prefer it to be handled through, right, and provide a faster resolution to the customer without going through the normal support channel.
All right. So maybe this is maybe it's slightly going off topic, but maybe we'll close with this. I think one of the biggest, and we've seen this everywhere through conferences, through articles that we read online, the fact that, do you think something like AI is going to create, they're going to be an effect in terms of the jobs that people have today as far as customer support, customer experience is concerned? Or do you think it's actually going to enhance the whole experience? Do you think that maybe today agents who are spending time on redundant tasks can focus on more intelligent tasks as they move forward and deliver those specialized experiences, thereby ensuring that we have this consistent wow experience that one is creating right through the organization? Do you believe that AI is definitely for the good? Maybe that's setting tone for the future, but do you think it's something like that?
So I think time's going to tell us, right? But I definitely believe that there's great amount of promise that we saw through Google Duplex, right? What it can do, right? And how it can make, and you would not even know whether you're talking to a robot or a human being, right? So there's a lot of promise there. I think that is definitely going to revolutionize the entire support experience that we deliver to our customers. But I think only time will tell.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks a lot, both Arif and Arjun. Before we close, I have to make a couple of mentions as well. There are 2 webinars that are coming up, so that you all know, and if you'd like to be part of it, do feel free to register for these. We'll send you a quick note, post this note as well, post this webinar with that short poll survey that we want to do with you. One is in delivering future-proof customer engagement in a digital marketplace. And what does that actually mean? We're very fortunate to have Jacqueline Mukundar, who currently heads customer experience at the Future Group, who's an expert in retail, telecom, logistics, and consumer durables, talking with us about how that's possible. We also have a very interesting one that's coming through our way, which is going to be refresh your customer experience to drive engagement and revenue. Now, this one, we're very fortunate to have Kate Legger from Forrester, who's going to be part of that webinar. That webinar is a lot later in the day as far as India time is concerned, but do register and we'll send you a copy of the recording itself. So I think we're done for today. Thanks a lot for whoever's joined us. Thanks a lot for all the questions. Again, mentioning to all those who we couldn't answer right now, we'll make sure we get back with the right kind of responses by email to all the questions that you possibly answered. Apologies initially for those technical glitches that we had in regards to the voice quality and a few voices overlapping as well. We will send you, so all those who've attended and all those who've registered as well, we'll send you an edited version, obviously that one that doesn't have all the voices of all the useful talk that we've had and the wonderful insight that both Arijit and Arif have given us today. So thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks Arijit and Arif for being part of this webinar, and have a great day. Thank you.